A number of years ago, I was facilitating a strategic planning session with a board of directors for a large organization. Now, this was, and when I say large organization, I mean that the people who were on the board were, I guess, what we would call captains of industry. It was a consumer products industry group, and the people that were on that board were all CEOs of companies that we all know, right? So I guess we could say that they are movers and shakers. Now, it was interesting because during one of the breaks, I had an interesting thing happen. One of the breaks, I was standing over on one side of the room talking with a couple of the members, just having a little casual conversation, chatting, drinking some coffee or something like that, when all of a sudden, across the room, on the other side of the room, I heard two words, and those two words were Pine Valley. Now, those of you that don't know, I am an ex-golf PGA golf professional. And back, I should clarify that now. PGA golf professional means that you actually make money doing, going out there and playing golf. Now, I should just say that I attempted to be a PGA golf professional because back in the 70s, I tried to go out on the tour and did not make enough money to stay out on the tour. And that's why you probably have never heard of me as a professional golfer, and I am now a strategic marketing consultant, gunslinger, so to speak. But anyway, be that as it may, Pine Valley is regularly ranked as the number one golf course in the United States, has often been ranked as the number one golf course in the world. Sometimes it goes back and forth with Augusta National, where the Masters is held each year. But the situation was that, see, when you're a professional, you typically can go play any golf course that you want. You just show up, you show them your card, and they let you on the golf course for free. Except in the United States, there are, at least back when I was playing, there were essentially 3 golf courses that did not honor that. One was Cypress Point out in California. One was Augusta National, and one was Pine Valley in New Jersey. And I had played Cypress Point. To this day, I still haven't played Augusta National, but Pine Valley was very high on the list of golf courses that I wanted to play. So I had to find somebody who was a member of the course to invite me to come out and play with them. So anyway, so here I am. I'm in this, and so as a golfer, Pine Valley Country Club is, it's like right there. It's like, boy, if I ever hear of a chance to play Pine Valley, I'm going to grab it, right? So I'm standing there talking to these other people, when across the room, I hear in a conversation the words Pine Valley. My ears perk up, and I go over, and I said, did I just hear somebody say Pine Valley? And one of the gentlemen said, why, yes, I'm a member of Pine Valley. And we were talking about this group of guys that I take every year to go play at Pine Valley. And I said, if anybody drops out, or if you ever have an opening to invite a guest, I am available. I will drop everything so that I can come out and play Pine Valley, because I've never played Pine Valley. And they all laughed, right? And he took my card. But literally a couple of weeks later, he calls me up and he said, hey, Steve, guess what? Somebody did drop out. And would you like to join us to go play Pine Valley? Well, it turned out that, and so I ended up going with them every year for many years to play at Pine Valley, which was, it's like Mecca for golfers, right? Mecca for golfers. So anyway, the point of the story is that the second most important component of marketing is message to market match. Now, the first most important component is who is your market and knowing your market. But I'm not talking about that today. But see, once you know your market, the second most important component is how do you create a message that your market not only wants to hear, but they want to respond to. So you see, and I call it like the whisper marketing tool. And what I mean by that is that, see, we don't have to shout to get the attention of our market. We can whisper as long as the topic that we are talking about, the subject that we are talking about, that we are whispering about, is already on the mind of the prospect. Many years ago, back in 1937, a guy named Robert Collier wrote this book, the Robert Collier Letter Book, and I certainly recommend that you go get it. But I want to read to you just a couple sentences in here of what he said, and it's often not quoted, but it's often used in a lot of discussions about marketing. So here's what he wrote. Now remember, this is 1937, so you got to think about the culture back then. All right, okay. You know that every man is constantly holding a mental conversation with himself, the burden of which is his own interests, his business, his loved ones, his advancement. And you have tried to chime in on that conversation with something that fits in with his thoughts. See, now that is the secret to connecting your message to market. What is going on in the mind of your customer? What is the conversation already going on in the mind of your customer? And to paraphrase what he's saying is, we want to join that conversation. And if we can join that conversation that is already going on in the mind of the customer, it's easier to get their attention, and it's easier to get them to respond to us. So, I've often talked about the story about that when I first moved to Seattle, I had a BMW and I wanted to get a Jeep, and I decided that I wanted to get a green Jeep Grand Cherokee, forest green Jeep Grand Cherokee. And after I made the decision that I wanted to get that forest green Jeep Grand Cherokee, I could not believe how many forest green Jeep Grand Cherokees were on the road in Seattle. I mean, it was like they were everywhere, but I didn't see any of them until I had made that decision in my mind that I wanted to get one. And what this means is that, see, what this is that in our minds, we have a thing called a reticular activating system. Essentially what it means is that when we focus on something, when we have something that is, let's say it's an important goal for us, for example, well, then our brain automatically looks for things that will help us to achieve that. So when you think about the green Jeep Grand Cherokee, once I just made that decision, all of a sudden my mind is now looking for green Jeep Grand Cherokees. It's anything that has to do with that, it's going to call to my attention. So like Pine Valley, again, also in my mind, it's already at the top of my in the conversations going on in my mind. So that if I hear the phrase Pine Valley, then my brain is going to automatically hear that, even if it's a whisper across the room in a crowded cocktail party. We've all had this happen to us. We will be at somewhere. It might be crowded, it might be noisy, might be many conversations going on, and we hear our name, or we hear the name of something. We hear a phrase that is important to us, or we hear our we often hear about the mother who can hear her child crying in a room full of babies that are crying, but she hears her child crying. This is the most important, not secret. It's not secret, but this is the most important thing for us to think about when we are when we know who our market is, and when we are looking to get their attention. The best way to get their attention is to have a message that joins the conversation already going on in their mind. So if we know our market, then how do we do that? Well, it's not rocket science. It's not always easy, but it's not rocket science. And essentially the thing is you have to know your market so well that you know what is it that keeps them awake at night. What is it that they are thinking about when they first get up in the morning? How can you help them improve their condition? Whether it's eliminating pain, which is, in my opinion, the most important motivator, or an aspiration that they might have. But if it's going on in their mind and you have the ability to solve that problem for them, or to solve that challenge, or to help them to achieve something, if you have the ability to do that and you start talking in those terms, they will hear you and they will want to respond to you. So when we just go out, see, the mistake that most companies make is they may know who their target market is. It's amazing to me how often companies don't know who their target market is when they really get right down to it. But I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that you do know your target market. But do you just fall into the trap of what I call playground shouting? In other words, you have products, and so all you're doing is you're shouting to the world, we have products. Here are our products. Our products are great. Our products are new. Our products are red. That type of thing. And all you're doing is trying to shout louder than the competition. Well, that's not joining the conversation that's going on in their mind. You're just shouting at them. And if you're just shouting at them, why should they pay attention to you? No. That's the beauty of going in and joining the conversation going on in their mind, because you can literally whisper to them. And when they are flipping through trade magazines, when they are going online, when they are opening their mail, when they are even when they're on social media, if you are saying something to them that resonates with the conversation that's already going on in their mind, then you have a better chance of getting their attention and then getting them to be able to respond to you. That's why I say whisper, and if you've got the right message, you don't have to shout at them. This is Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's dad and marketing gunslinger, and thanks for joining me this week. I hope you will join me again next week and share this with your friends. If you're not getting this in your email box every week, sign up. And also, don't forget, if you haven't got my book, Uncopyable, How to Create an Unfair Advantage Over Your Competition, go get it right now, okay? Come on. I have bills to pay. I have 2 women, who want me to support them. So anyway, thanks again for joining me. I will be back again next week, and I appreciate it. Thanks for joining me. Always remember, be uncopyable.